Baron Munchausen has been a hero of fantasy fiction for over 200 years. But few Americans have heard of Baron Munchausen or his preposterous tales of fantasy and adventure. He is a distinctly European creation. If modern audiences know him at all, it's most likely due to director Terry Gilliam's 1988 film adaptation. As for me, no fantasy film has ever surprised me as much as Karel Zeman's 1962 film adaptation. Like most boomer kids, I grew up watching the fairy tale classics by Walt Disney, the Looney Tune adventures of Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, not to mention comic books and paperback pulp fiction of every genre. Now, back in those ancient times, I also watched a televised viewing of a movie called The Fabulous World of Jules Verne on the old $1 Million Movie. And of course, it was in black and white, but so was the TV. Still, I was blown away by the combination of live action and animation. I had never seen anything like it up until that time. And a few years later, the same channel ran The Fabulous Baron Munchausen by the same director, and this time it was in color. And by this time, so was TV. These two movies felt handcrafted, and I thought, hey, I can do that. Just give me a pair of scissors. So, just who is this Karel Zeman guy anyway? As a kid, I thought maybe he was a Soviet bloc Walt Disney bringing happiness and joy to all those kids living behind the Iron Curtain. And then I thought, what about China? Do they have their own Walt Disney or Karel Zeman bringing happiness and joy to all those kids starving to death? I didn't know. But I hear things are a lot different now. Karel Zeman was a Czech film director and animator, best known for his fantasy films, and those were heavily influenced by such artists as Gustave Doré and French filmmaker Georges Méliès, with Zeman, in turn, influencing others. Others like me, and I would bet countless others as well. But unexpectedly, while watching the movie again for this video, I came upon a bit of Bond trivia. Czechoslovakian actor Jan Werich plays a ship's captain. Well, who was Jan Werich, you may ask? But the 6 degrees of 60s era steampunk separation is fully connected, because Jan Werich was originally cast as Blofeld in You Only Live Twice, but it was thought he looked too much like Father Christmas, so he was soon replaced by Donald Pleasence, whose interpretation of that character has long since become iconic. So, just who is Baron Munchausen? His real name was Karl Friedrich Munchausen. He was a German army captain in the 1700s who, in retirement, regaled his fellow retirees with outlandish tales of his adventures. You know, there's a lot of that going around these days. And apparently he was quite the storyteller, so much so that those tales have gone down in time, growing ever more fantastical through the ages, with many writers and artists adding their own take on his adventures. Gustave Doré, for instance, is said to have created the physical look of the Baron. But as charming as he is, one has to admit that the Baron is also something of a fool. That too is going around a lot these days. Some of these tales are widespread throughout literature. Some even have their origins in works ranging from the Bible to Jules Verne, even to William Shakespeare. Some of these tales include visits to the moon, being swallowed by a big fish, falling through the center of the earth, and riding a cannonball in mid-flight. However, it must be said that the narrative can be slow-going, even awkward at times. Years ago, when these movies hit home video, I showed them to my kids. Or at least I tried to. They just said, "That's nice, Dad," and went about their business. Finally, it must be said that as foolish as the good Baron can be, he does exude a certain grace, a sort of noblesse oblige, as do the works of Karel Zeman. See you around the campus.